Let's see. What's going to be a good intro here?
Hi, everybody. I've been swindled into doing this show. I'm Dan.
There's your intro. Episode one of Boycott Everything podcast, where we're going to talk about everything and anything. And if we get a little on PC, well, that's the fucking point.
Yep. So. Make sure to catch us on YouTube, Twitter, and Pornhub.
Pornhub's the big one.
Yeah,
Pornhub's
exactly.
the big one.
I guess you just answered my question about language.
So tonight's topic's about movies and society and all that stuff, and I brought Fun Kelly.
Hi.
And Dan Law.
You.
If y'all have anything that you would like to, shout out to the world, now's a good time. So, Kelly.
I was totally unprepared, so all I can think about, I've got retweeted on my Twitter page a Kickstarter, a GoFundMe for a family that my mom works with. The little girl drowned a couple weeks ago, and they don't have health insurance because they just moved there, so they're trying to raise money, for the astronomical,
being an American that needs health care. Yeah,
it's going to be like in the millions. She was on life support for a few days, so so if anyone wants to take a peep at that and help out, that'd be really appreciated.
And Dan,
I just wanted to reiterate FK's GoFundMe. If you search for "Pray for Izzy" on GoFundMe, you'll find that page. See, I'm an associate producer on the show.
The link will be down below at the end.
And
it is already going to be placed.
Yep, and if it's not, we'll kick my ass.
That's facts. That's facts.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
I would like to say also, FK, it's finally nice to meet you on a platform other than text. It's
I'm not used to this sort of interaction, so this is a new experience for me.
And I will say that if your opinion of me changes, it would be the 300th time that's ever happened. So
I think we'll be okay.
Follow me. You have been pretty open with you. There's no more warts I could reveal. Follow me on Twitter at DanLo83, and the only charity I have is it's my birthday on Friday, so Dan would like money. PayPal at DanLo83.
There you go.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm 36 years old.
Yes.
Oh, what happened?
Wow.
Well, that's kind of a thing of life. We all get old.
Oh my God.
This is the 20. Time of your life.
My knees hurt though.
Am I the youngest here?
Oh yeah, probably.
Be 28 next month.
Laura, I'm not gonna ask anybody.
I'm not asking anybody.
I don't know how old Kelly is. So
I am 38 years old.
Oh,
so I'm the oldest.
Hey, we're all old except Wooly.
Well,
get out of here, you young whippersnapper! Get off my lawn.
I'm like 150, 200 pounds overweight, so I feel old. The joints in the back aren't holding up right.
My knees were 60 years old at 21, so I had a surgery on both of my knees before I was 21. So
football,
hockey, and baseball.
Ah.
Oh, nice.
That's why I laugh when people call me fat on Twitter. I'm like, oh, good for you. Thank you. You have no idea. Congratulations.
If you only knew.
And then they call me the F word, the homophobic F word. I'm like, oh, if you only knew twice.
my favorite thing about your Twitter feed, Dan, is people calling you the homophobic F word and then looking at their timeline where they've taken hundreds of pictures of themselves and send them to other men. Yes. And I'm just like, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, but
A, there's nothing wrong with it, and B, why don't you come here and put your money where your mouth is, or your abs? That's what I thought.
That's what I thought too. So let's get into the topic in hand. So the movies, I'm interested in movies because I'm a sports fanatic. I watch sports, I play video games, and that's pretty much it. So I was wanting to know what your three's favorite movie and movie genre is of all time.
FK, you go first if you don't mind.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely.
You're the writer.
My favorite genre is comedy, and especially, in this day and age where literally everything we read in the news is garbage. I find myself gravitating to lighter, ventures. But my favorite movie of all time is the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, and I saw it 23 times in theaters. I've watched it many times since then. It's to be fair, it was here for 38 weeks in Los Angeles, so it was kind of spread out over that time. I didn't, go see it 23 times in a week. But yeah. All right. Who's next?
I just to tag on, because we're probably going to bring that up as a good example of the fuckery.
Yeah.
I saw that 9 times in the theaters, and I thought it was a lot.
Yes.
So I never mind. If I could have seen it more, I would have seen it more. But unfortunately, again, we'll probably talk about it later. It got pulled early, but what do I know? We're going to get that out of the way later. My favorite movie of all time is Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. And that's not a slight, and we're going to talk about later. Again, preface that. I grew up with that movie. I grew up with the sequel. I love the sequel as much as I love the first movie. I was inundated with the toys and the cartoons. So that is my favorite universe. It's like you say favorite movie. I can't say movie. My favorite universe is Ghostbusters. And to trigger some of the listeners, answer the call as well. I loved that movie. But my favorite genre has got to be sci-fi.
Well, doesn't that fit in the sci-fi also?
A little bit. FK, what the hell would you genre Ghostbusters?
See, Amazon has it classified as fantasy / sci-fi, so I guess
because everybody that Answer the Call was definitely a sci-fi comedy. By the way, Answer the Call is not insulting, right?
No.
Okay, because it was Ghostbusters : Answer the Call.
Yes,
when people say Lady Ghostbusters, I do get triggered. I'm like, shut up. Anyway, that was more straight up Paul Feig doing a sci-fi comedy. The first one's got great lines in it, but it's not like a laugh out loud comedy. It isn't. So it's almost like a horror comedy, kind of, because there's parts in that movie that would terrify a child in those days. You look back, it just looks like an older movie, but overall, I mean, I'm looking at my DVD shelf. It's got to be sci-fi. Who's next? That would be
Wooly. That would be Wooly.
I thought he was the producer. Hey, shut up, producer.
He's talked more than I expected him to, so he might as well be part of it.
You're in now.
I mean, I don't watch a lot of movies, but if I had to go with favorite genre, it either be comedy or horror.
Right.
So
let me also add that comedy. I have as much comedy as sci-fi because I just need to laugh as well. But that's a personal thing from childhood. So I would say they're tied.
Yeah, and I throw horror in there just because my favorite movie is Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh man,
really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I just say that you brought it up that his Halloween 2 was better than the original Halloween 2?
I saw his Halloween 2 in the theaters. It was one of those things where it was I was kind of scared of it a little bit, but there were some funny lines in there too that just makes you laugh in a way you shouldn't be laughing in a horror film.
I will say, since and then I'm going to give it back to Rev and I'll shut up. The only movie I saw as much in theaters as Answer the Call was The Devil's Rejects.
Oh.
I saw that 8 times in theaters. There was a time there for a couple nights I went in the afternoon because I was a kid. I had a midday job at a grocery store working my ass off as a supervisor. So I'd see it in the afternoon and then go see it at night. I loved that movie.
Nice.
And yes, I popped when Diamond Dallas Page's name popped up like a child.
You're a wrestling fan. It's allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Diamond Dallas Page is in it.
I think my favorite movie of all time is either Sin City or 300.
All right.
I really, really love Sin City. I think it's a good movie. Well, I mean, unless you go where my mind is, and my favorite movie of all time is the original Lion King. That's why I'm excited about seeing the new one, because of the story. Because of the story it tells. The story it tells it feels a little bit close to home, I guess, to me because of how I was raised and where I was raised. So it's just one of those things that it hits home for me. I hate horror movies so much that I refuse to watch my friends play certain games if it's a horror movie.
Yep. Understood.
Yeah, so I it's one of the reasons I don't get into to movies that much because I'm so, I won't say picky. I'm not picky. Picky is the wrong word.
Go ahead, FK.
Very choosy.
Oh, I was going to say Sin City is awesome. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous film.
Yeah, I think it's the way both of those movies were recorded and how they made it look is why I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
that
interesting.
movie. Okay, so another confession. I'm an audio and video file. Like I need perfect audio when I'm watching something. I need perfect picture. I don't like bootleg stuff because it just makes me miserable trying to watch through pixelations. And I will say that the HD Sin City transfer is one of the best ones. It helps that's in like bare, like there's red in it. Like it helps that it's basically a black and white movie because those look amazing when you back retro fit and restore those movies. But that's probably got one of the best FK transfers I've ever seen.
Agreed.
Awesome.
FK, 4K. You're FK. Yeah. I meant 4K.
You excited about being around? All right, first topic, my peoples. Today's society. How do you actually feel? Yeah, I told you we're going to go hard on this. How do you feel that the way society has changed so much in the last 3 years? We're only going to go from 2016 to today. How much society has changed? How has it affected how movies are being made, processed, all of that?
Ryder, you go first.
FK is gonna get sick of you throwing them.
Okay, all right.
I was about to say I can feel her thinking her answer right now.
No. I was just trying to be polite for the person who is newer to the group and not talk as much because I talk a lot. But now I'm going first. So sorry, FK. I didn't mean that in any other way. That I was just trying not to be the hog.
No, we're good.
I think creators need to. The creators spend way too much time listening to the audience. From my observation, and I was guilty of this a couple years ago because you have that sense of entitlement when you put so many years into liking and wanting something that you think you have a word in it, creativity wise, and you don't. Zero, zilch. Your job is to enjoy it and pay ticket to see it or buy it on video or don't. There is a comedian out there who I adore. He's so funny. Josh Robert Thompson. For those who don't know who he is, shame on you. Unless you are listening or a host or guest on the show, then I take that shame back.
Oh no, shame me because I feel like I should know him.
You son of a bitch.
He's funny. He's funny as fuck, dude.
He was the robot skeleton on the Late Show with Craig Ferguson.
Still don't know.
God damn you! I'll tweet. Okay, he's basically if Morgan Freeman is not in a movie, it's him. The skinny white guy does voiceovers and re-recording for Morgan Freeman.
Hello, I'm Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, he is the other Morgan Freeman. if he doesn't feel like taking a role, or if it's just a quick voiceover, it's usually Josh Robert Thompson.
What a skill.
It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, if you close your eyes, you couldn't tell. He does 100 voice acting roles a year. He was in the Skylanders Academy cartoon. He was in the Angry Birds movie. He's in Family Guy. You know the Family Guy episode with Donald Trump? He was Donald Trump.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
But he basically said something I live to this day 3 years ago. He goes, create to create. Don't listen to anybody else. And that doesn't mean ignore the audience and do not do a little bit of fan service, but you can't, if you're creating a piece of art, and people argue that sometimes movie isn't a piece of art, you're out of your mind. If you're creating art, create the art. Worry about later. I have another writer friend who writes stuff online all the time who's always asking for my input. And while I give her the input, I'm like, don't write for them, write for you. Let them decide if they like it or not. And I think there's a lot of people in my perception might be wrong. I'm just viewing it from social media standpoint and where that's come in the last 3 or 4 years, that there's a little bit too much input from us, the fans, when we're a fan of something. I experience a lot doing my little podcast. I don't get a lot of listeners. I get quite a bit. I've had a sponsor throw money. I'm not complaining, but I never hear a lot of positive feedback. It's always when somebody wants to change something. And I'm like, that's great. I appreciate that. And when you say that and you don't change it, you're the asshole. I'm like, well, no, I'm creating something here. The writers are creating something here. Let them create. And you don't get a say in it. Look at The Last Jedi. I'm going to go off on a tangent here, and then I'm going to shut up. Look at The Last Jedi. We can argue until our faces are blue if that was a good or bad movie. I loved that movie. I don't have very little complaints. Those who are rewriting that movie, that's great. We're going to stick that draft right over here on the fridge so you can look at it and dream that you are not working in Hollywood. You attacking verbally or threatening an actress or an actor over a role, you've lost that's it. The line is blurred and you've lost all credibility as a fan. You don't get to dictate anymore. You don't get to suggest, and quite frankly, you don't get to be a fan of that universe anymore, but I don't have that much sway. I can't control that. It's deplorable. I hate using that word because it's become one of those snowflake trigger cuck words that everybody likes to throw around. It's disgusting.
I'm done. No, I'm leaving.
We, FK and I, separately and together for the last couple of years, because we connected because of the Answer the Call, had to deal with it watching that movie. That's great that you didn't like the movie. I'm only going to tiptoe around this till we dive into that if we use an example either. That's great. You didn't like, I don't want to watch the new Ghostbusters. Cool. I don't want to watch the Ghostbusters because they've got titties in it. Okay, well, good for you. You don't need to remind us every time we celebrate the movie that you didn't like it. Go away. The movie exists. It didn't ruin your childhood. I don't know if you notice this, but if you look over on your bookshelves, the other movie is still there. So your childhood's still there. It's amazing how that works. People have too much to say. That's my main point. But you got me on here to rant. Now I'm fucking rant.
Even though I'm not a huge movie buff like you guys, that's something that I stand in solidarity with you. It makes no sense. Like the whole Lion King thing. I just admitted that I'm a 41-year-old man, and I absolutely adore The Lion King. It's my favorite movie of all time. I'm not going to be pissed off if it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to be upset if the CG and all that crap doesn't look amazing. If the story's still there, I don't care. And even then, I don't care, because guess what? That movie's not made for me. That movie is not made for the 40-year-old to get some nostalgia. It's made for my child, and it's made for my children's children, and it's made for people below 21 that didn't get to experience that before, and you get to see it in a new medium. Because the way I look at it, like with the new Ghostbusters, I haven't seen, is if I go to see it and I don't like it, I can just watch the original one that I loved. And poof, it's all better. Same thing with The Lion King. Same thing with Aladdin. Same thing with Beauty and the Beast. The Jungle Book remake, I had a problem with it because it creeped me out. It legitly creeped me the hell out. But nobody anywhere can say that you saw me say it or heard me say it or complain about it. This is the first time I've made it public that it just creeped me out. I would still recommend it if you're watching all the Disney movies, because it's still a good telling of the Jungle Book. It's just there's parts of it, especially when King Louis gets involved, that it's wait a minute.
All right then. Bill Murray's in it.
I know, but King Louis is that creepy that I forget that Bill Murray was in it from time to time.
Oh, that's funny. FK can tell you the whole Ghostbusters thing has been enjoyable, but a cluster fuck when trying to just enjoy it. Like, nobody will sit there minding our bones this. And you get some insult or some what I like to call them small penis men who have to tell you that it sucked. You suck as a fan. You suck as a person if you like this, and you should kill yourselves for liking this. And that's where I have a problem with social media. Imagine if you spent more time, again, fully admitting that I've fallen into that in the past, and I did something called growing up. It's a big thing these days. When as your age gets higher, you mature. For some of us,
or you see things in a different light. It's not even really mature. You just now see things in a different light.
Yeah, like why did I say those things 20 years ago? That's stupid. What an ignorant asshole you were. It's amazing. You're allowed to grow. You are allowed to get better. That's another thing we as a society have forgotten about is you're allowed to get better. I mean, if you sexually abuse somebody and you're like, I'm okay. That's okay. Maybe you're not allowed to get better.
I mean, no, you're allowed to get better. Just stay the hell away from me.
Oh yeah. You're allowed to get better, just not here.
Yeah.
Just not in this area here.
Oh, Michael Vick did dog fighting. Yeah, but he's better. That's wonderful. Good for him. Yeah, we've gotten away from just enjoying things. Like I don't understand why you can't just enjoy. I could never sit on Twitter. Everybody's complaining about Mexicans taking their jobs. You're not working. You're on Twitter. What are you bitching about? Jesus Christ. Shut up. All right, I'm done.
God damn.
Kelly, what do you think about?
Oh, it's I think, obviously a lot of it has to do with our president's existence and everything that he drums up. But I think that Hollywood is kind of tried to, for lack of a better term, just like kind of like turn the tables in regard to. Wait, hang on. Are you guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
cool. Every once in a while, my app keeps logging out. So, everything that he stands for, everything that he says is just so negative that I think people are tired of putting up with that bullshit. So they are pushing for things that we never pushed for before. Someone, I'm sure there's a meme that you guys have seen that has gone around where it's like, Ghostbusters walked so that Captain Marvel and Ocean's 8 and Valkyrie could run,
Yeah.
And I think about Hollywood is nobody wants to rock the boat. Like people are still, like people who run networks and studios are kind of holding grudges of things, 10, 20, 30 years ago, that they won't try again because if something you put your name to fails, you're going to get fired. And so like, unless the public actually pushes Hollywood to make changes, like all of the things that happens at a snail's pace. And it's hard to describe everything that I hear and experience like within that industry to people outside the industry. But there's even pushback for trying to be more inclusive in regard to directors. The amount of female-led anything has improved substantially over the last few years, but it's still only like 1-2% of the products put out there. So while it's an improvement, it's not a huge improvement. But I think that it's happening enough to where people are noticing, obviously, and that's what causes us to get all the grief for things that we love, where we probably wouldn't, because every movie before was catered directly to a certain demographic, and when that demographic is no longer placated to, it becomes a problem.
Placate is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Something just occurred to me. Patty Jenkins, director of Wonder Woman, who's had an extensive career before Wonder Woman and will probably have an extensive career after Wonder Woman 1984, comes out. But where's that movie? Bring that out right now. I kept hearing she's what a great movie for a girl. This is a great woman's directed movie. And I'm like, no, it's just a good director made a movie. That's all. That's
and
it.
she had to work so hard to get there too. And like you said, she had like 10 movies under her belt before she got there. But then there's people who get men get huge blockbusters given to them after just being an editor for a few years, and they know the right person. It's for some reason women have to prove themselves over and over and over again, whereas men just kind of don't.
She fucking directed and wrote Monster. Everybody else's opinion doesn't matter after that.
The second that you can say she directed and wrote Monster, it's done.
Yeah,
because that movie was that movie was fucking amazing. And I know the story of that lady. I lived in Florida when that lady was down there doing that shit, dude.
Oh, wow.
So like that woman was crazier than the director let on. Like it was much, much worse. So the fact that she was able to kick it back some and make a human out of the lane was amazing to me, because in reality she was not a human being. That she actually was the word the movie was named in. She was an absolute fucking monster. And then if you watch her actions when she was in death row all the way leading up to her execution, and then you watch the movie, you're just like, well, maybe they made some of that shit up in the movie, and then you realize no, they didn't.
None of it's made up.
None of it's made up. And the director just gave the woman a humanity. And for her to be able to give Elaine a humanity, I was just like, I'm going to watch any movie this woman directs or writes ever, because that was fucking amazing to me. Wow. So yeah, no, my next question, guys, and it's kind of important. Do you think that best way to word it is the way I wanted to word it? Do you think that the way the world has changed over the last 20 years, that we'll call it what it is, white males cannot seem
I'm offended
to, yeah, I know, right? I cannot seem to understand that the world has to change the way it is for everybody to get something.
I just don't understand as a white male why you have to have white male own white. I don't get it. That's I can't even answer that rationally without getting upset. I don't understand why you can't. Like, if you just want to hang out with white people, fine. You don't get to dictate the rest of the world does that. Like, I don't know how to tell you this. That's not how it works. I cannot imagine, because like I said, I was never ever. I was raised in Camden County, New Jersey. It's predominantly African American. When you get closer to the river, you get further away from the river, it's all us Italians and Jews that left Philadelphia in the 60s. But it was a melting pot. And I just can't imagine growing up in that melting pot where the whole country is and having this weird narrow view that white is it. I just can't fathom it, so I don't even know how to answer that question. I was never like that.
I think in some places, though, in the United States, we're not really a melting pot. You look at rural middle America, where I grew up, it is like 98% white. And
do you know why that is, Willie? Do you know why that is, though, Willie?
I don't
know. For Kelly, I don't know if you know this, but Dan and Willie knows this because it's something I'm proud of. I left home as a child. Basically, I was 13 years old. I decided that I did not want to live with my birth parents, and I ran away. I ran away to New Orleans, and when I was in New Orleans, okay. So at 13, I ran away. At 13, I ran away from home to get away from my family. Because I was already conflicted, because the first 9 years of my life, I was raised by the Grand Dragon of the state of Louisiana.
Wow.
No, I did not know that.
The last 6 months of his life, he became really good friends with a black man.
Oh, wow.
And all those things that I heard him say from 3, when I remember him, till 9, disappeared, because he told me his entire life he was Native American, something I did not know. He was 100% Native American. I did not know that. And all his life he'd had self-hate because he had light skin and he wasn't accepted into the Choctaw tribe because he had light skin. And he self-hated so much that he became to hate everybody but other white-skinned people. So he became part of the KKK in Louisiana, and he taught me hate from 3 to 9. And then in a 6-month period before he passed away, he taught me that, hey, maybe they're not all that bad.
Maybe they're not all that bad.
Well, that's how he put it. So,
that's amazing.
So to fast forward to I'm 13, me and my mother did not get along. Everything that I did, she blamed my dad on. I disliked my father because he was never there, and the military and other women were more important than his children. So I ran away, and I went from Monroe, Louisiana, which is at the top of the boot, to New Orleans, which is at the bottom of the boot. And I was running away to find my aunt, who was a very, very dark-skinned native. And I was trying to find her and couldn't find her. And then when I found her and my uncle turned me away.
Oh.
So 13 years old, a white-skinned person in the middle of New Orleans, the 7th Ward of New Orleans, I was terrified because I was told that black people were bad all my life. Wow. And this 285 big, beautiful black woman walked up and she saw me crying, eating a hot dog that was soaking wet because it was pouring rain. Oh. And she took me in her house and she taught me that all human beings have good in them, no matter the skin color. And then she taught me that she was one of the women's leaders of the Black Panthers of Southern Louisiana. So I went from severe hate of white people to severe hate of black people.
Wow. Holy shit.
And she taught me and I fell into gang life, and like I told Kelly before that, I sold drugs and did all that stupid crap. But she taught me that color does not matter. And I got lost on it for a while because, I was a Crip in the 9th Ward of New Orleans. It was just stupid. But she taught me that the hardest thing to do.
Note, stop messing with Rev on Twitter.
the hardest thing to be in this entire country is a black woman. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know why until here recently on Twitter, Dan.
Yeah.
Because I was not raised, and I'm getting back to the point, Wooly. I was not raised that a melting pot is bad. I was not raised that these things are bad. I was raised this is how it is. Period. End of story.
Let me
why you find an entire white neighborhood or an entire black neighborhood, or as Dan so eloquently put it, an entire Italian or Jewish neighborhood, and they stuck to themselves, is because of familiarity.
The food is good, dude.
Well, no shit. That's why I learned how to cook Italian food. But
damn, I want chicken.
Familiarity, and if something threatens that familiarity, well, guess what? They're removed. So if you go through middle bumfucked Egypt, Iowa, and see an all-white city, guess why?
Familiarity.
Listen, people of the same color want to. I meant white too. I didn't mean the old term that is used in the 60s that is shitty. I meant in general, every color. People want to hang out with people who are similar. That's natural. And that's fine. It is the excising of or wanting the extermination of Donald Trump. Anything that isn't the same as you, that is the problem. I grew up in my parents divorced when I was 3, so I was basically 10 minutes away from each other's parents at either at my God, I can't talk at any time. So it was back and forth from a real big town in Jersey to a little smaller town in Jersey. Guess which one was more racist? The small one. And the shit that my air quotes friends would say was goddamn terrible back then, let alone now. And I can't imagine actually believing these things. It'd be one of those, we'd be hanging out for 3 hours playing hockey, and then somebody would be like, N-word. I'd be like, I gotta go. See you later.
Hey,
Hey, I gotta go. Hey, Mom called me. Well, you don't have a phone. Gotta go. Hurt her. It's just I maybe it's because of that. My grandmother was pretty racist as well, but at the same time, you figure this out, guys. At the same time, she was playing me Earth, Wind, and Fire records. And other Motown records. She was playing that out of the ass at the same time, going N-word, N-word, N-word everywhere. I loved my grandmother. She was a racist.
Yeah.
My stepmother's a very lovely woman. My stepfather was borderline racist / heroin addict, and we can all transform to 2009, and it didn't end very well for him. So I just can't fathom. I can't fathom it. I don't know how to answer that question. I never looked at somebody else who was different, who had different color skin or a different disposition, or was homosexual, bisexual, short, tall, fat, skinny. I never had that problem. Once I grew up, once I went through puberty, that making fun of stuff, like we make fun of each other in groups, but like hatefully, spitefully going and hang them all or send them back.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me. So I don't even know. I can't even begin to think in that light. I don't know. I don't know how to elaborate any further.
I think it's that bully mentality where you don't experience the repercussions of that sort of action, so you think that possibly it's not as damaging to the other person, long term anyway.
Yeah.
Kelly, let me subvert it to you. Have you felt that because of skin color, you've been outcasted?
I think I'm back.
Oh.
Sorry, like I said, my app keeps disconnecting me. So.
Well, edit that.
You got to edit that out. so I was changing the question to you. Have you felt at any point in time, because of your skin color or sexuality or sex, whatever happens to be, that you've had an issue with that behavior?
Well, I mean, that's kind of hard to break down. I was bullied most of my life just for being the quiet, easy target, in the class, and not having the tools to retaliate. But I don't think it was necessarily for anything specific. But I did definitely. I come from Las Vegas, which is a very tight-knit Catholic community, and I went to Catholic school my whole life. And I remember seeing like other people bullied for specifics of their person, to the point where they left school because they just couldn't handle it anymore. And I don't get that mentality, but it I see it everywhere I go, and I think that a lot of people don't have to think outside of their particular bubble. And for some reason, being able to control that bubble is very appealing to them. So when you start introducing new ideas of any nature, they're going to be very combatant. And but I think it's good, though, because it's going to kind of make people burn out over time, because younger generations, perhaps non-like-minded peers will be thinking differently and really not asking them what their opinion is anymore. So I don't know. I think we're definitely on the right track for some stuff. Kind of tying Ghostbusters into this, like Dan said, for years it was, you couldn't talk about your affinity for this movie in any capacity, because someone who does not follow you, who just is trolling, will come in and tell you why you're wrong. And it was really nice to see Paul
shit.
Rip.
in a very visible way, because it has allowed a lot of the fans of this movie to come out of the woodwork. And yeah,
we lost you right as you were going to mention Paul.
Oh, okay.
Just go from there and then continue. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I don't know why I've never used this this app before for this purpose, so
Shoot it.
I don't know if there's anything that that I could be doing differently. Oh yeah, so I'm really glad that Paul was at FanFest and talking to Jason and Ivan and having the fans there visibly and tangibly support this movie. It really kind of allowed fans of Answer the Call to come out of hiding and kind of stand up for themselves in the movie that they love, because it was so often that this vocal minority of grumpy toilet boys was kind of controlling the narrative, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Grumpy toilet boys. it really is. Like, if you're allowed to not like something. You're absolutely allowed to not like something. You are not allowed to tell somebody else they can't like that thing because you didn't like it. Oh, did you not like the new Ghostbusters movie? That's so cute. It's so cute. This is a toy. Go over there. Go catch it. Go fetch. Assholes.
And I had someone the other day tell me, because like I got to the point where I'm not going to be nice to people who come into my mentions unsolicited with negative points, and so I'll fight back. And then I had this one person that follows me chime in and say, well, you really should try and speak to them nicely, because maybe you'll be able to reason with them and explain your point of view. I'm like, this guy has no interest in my point of view, which is why he attacked me in the first place. So it's we luckily Dan and some other people came to my rescue and like totally obliterated this guy.
Are we talking about the Bee Man?
I don't remember.
I'm still sending him gifts every day.
Oh no, it wasn't that guy. It was definitely before that.
Okay.
But they're all the same. They think that they are the majority, but they really aren't. And for the first time, we're seeing fans of this movie kind of stand up for themselves, and I really cherish that, because it's important to not discount this portion of the fandom.
I guess I don't. I can't fathom I can't put my mind around. Willie, don't fix my stuttering. It's not your fault. I can't talk. Jesus Christ, I'm embarrassing myself tonight. I've lost all ability to function.
Can't talk. Red Sports Podcast.
My God.
Runs Good Sports Podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start that over. That's up to you if you want to keep it.
Oh, we're going to keep just most of it.
Most everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's some that you ask. I mean, it's gonna be in there.
Cool. Okay. Like that one thing. I guess I can't fathom or put my mind around wanting, like, trying to tell somebody else that they're wrong about something. And then when you say, well, I actually thought this, yeah, well, this is just my opinion. Well, yeah, exactly. Okay.
Right.
Have a nice day. Tip the hat to you. Congratulations. Goodbye.
Thank you. No one asked.
And now what I like to do, because it might sound like that we're just making this up for drama. It's not.
No.
There's a group of about 10 of us, FK, would you say? Maybe a little more.
At least,
in our little group. There's more out there. We keep pulling them in and finding them. That will just tweet something random about Kate McKinnon or Leslie Jones or somebody else in that movie, or how funny Kevin looks holding a saxophone without a shirt on. And there, every fucking time, there is some ghost bro, as we like to call them now, or I do.
Ghost Press.
It's dude bro, but they're a Ghostbusters fan, so it's ghost bro. That will have to tell us all how stupid we are. I wasn't going to use their verbiage about not. I'm like, dude, go. What are you doing that you have the time to spend in? It's every time. It's absolutely every single time, and it does get old to the point where now I'm just going to send gifs of Ghostbusters Answer the Call to them, and like this one Joker who I won't justify but giving out a screen name. Like the other guy we were talking about, Rev, all he does is send replies back of how he wants to fuck me. And I'm like, okay. Like
he's using homosexuality as a weapon somehow.
Oh, he is.
That's
He's definitely using it as a weapon, but what he doesn't know is the only weapon that will be used is.
So do you think, and this is to both you, Dan and Kelly, do you think that with the way social media has transgressed into movies. It will affect how movies, video games, the art forms that they are remade and done now.
I promise you this. If the money is still there, nothing is going to change.
Right.
Just to harp, we're going to use the Ghostbusters Answer the Call because that's our common connection to the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
People say it bombed. They then ignore how much money the movie made in rentals and video sales from Amazon alone.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention every other digital platform after that was released. Because it was a quick release. It was June, and then it was out in October.
Yeah.
And
in most places, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like a month or two delayed in the UK. I don't remember when it came out in the UK. I didn't pay attention after that. It pissed me off that it got pulled from theaters, so I was kind of miffed. But that movie was #1 for almost an entire week on Amazon.
It was in pre-order sales. It was #1 for 6 weeks for fantasy sci-fi.
Well, there you go. So who the fuck is wrong about that movie, you bunch of assholes? Yeah, so like they have this thing about where it bombed. And I'm like, well, no, it made its money back, and then it made more money in video sales. And then
you've got the head of global marketing for Sony who refutes the claim that it lost money by saying that they made a killing in merchandise and third-party product tie-ins. Like, these are things that people, like you said, people just ignore. They say, well, that can't be accurate, so I'm going to discount it.
If that movie failed, as much as the Ghost Bros say it did, Sony would in no way in hell put money behind a third sequel to the original universe. They would consider that name dead. Sony believes in the name.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if, and you know what I like, and I'm glad I'm on record saying this now. FK, I told you guys in the group this, the Ghostbusters group this. What made me laugh, and I love it. I absolutely love this. Jason Reitman announces, "I have a script. I have a script. We're doing a sequel for Ghostbusters. It's going to be a third movie that continues the original universe." Blah, 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 blah. And all these people were like, "We got our movies back. No more bitches." And the first thing he did was hire 2 kids and a woman.
Yeah.
That's great.
Fuck you guys. That's amazing. And I was secretly, I didn't say anything on Twitter, but inside I was going, "Hey, you motherfuckers." Because I'm a spiteful prick sometimes. When you ruin my fun, I will do what I can to ruin yours back. So first thing he did was not only did he hire 2 kids and a woman to play the mom, then he hired Paul Rudd.
Mm-hmm. And then 2 more kids. And 2 more kids. different ethnicities. Yeah.
So we have all ages and colors going into this movie, and I'm like, oh God, I hope it's shit. I would listen. Full disclosure. I love the original movies. I already said that. I loved Answer the Call. I love everything I'm hearing about the new movie. I would laugh so hard if the original Ghostbusters are in it for 5 minutes and then shove off.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling is going to happen too.
I would love to see them in the car with the gear on and the guns. I would absolutely love it. But I would laugh so hard in the theater if they were like, "Here, the torch is yours. Bye." Another thing that made me laugh was, I lost my train of thought, so it's gone. I'll come back to that later. Try to remember, Dan. There was a third point once I got to Paul Rudd, but God, I need to take a drink.
Let me circle back and see if this jogs your memory. Like you said, Sony's not going to keep putting money into a franchise, if it's dead, essentially. And that if you take that on a smaller level, Answer the Call. They did 2 behind the scenes movie extra content rollouts at both Halloween and Christmas of that year, because it was, they were still making a lot of money on it. You don't beat a dead horse and specifically put out content, because that costs money on its own. for something that nobody wants. Same thing with the comics. People like that first issue of Ghostbusters 101 sold out so much they had to come up with a new cover and put out a new printing of it.
Yeah.
And this movie kind of revitalized the franchise, I feel, because it brought in previously untapped and entirely new demographics to the fandom, people who may not have any connection to the original movies,
That's the thing. Before Paul Feig stepped in, and everybody could be mad he decided we're doing a reboot, whatever. Before that movie was announced, franchise was dead. Ghostbusters was dead and buried. There was nothing else going on. All they would have had is the anniversary releases, and it would have been dead. Ghost Fest would have never happened.
Yeah.
None of this would have ever happened if Sony didn't see some kind of reaction. And they did. Mm-hmm. We could argue. I look back at that trailer and I'm kind of angry about the trailer, but that's neither here nor there. That was a terribly cut. Same way. It's a terribly cut trailer, and from there. But the thing about trailers, that's what jogged my memory. Thank you. I was going to bring up trailers. When that trailer came out, again, I'm going to out myself here about how emotional I am about watching things on TV or listening to music, which is very Ric Flair, by the way, Rev. Which he cries at everything. The teaser trailer of the teaser trailer. There was a little video that came out a day before saying tomorrow, March, whatever it was, trailer, do Ghostbusters. And at the very end, they had a piano play, do, 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 just the notes from the song. And this fat Italian dude was like, oh. Ghostbusters, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Kelly, look, it's Ghostbusters. So, and she's looking at me going, that's great. Are you okay? I'm like, no. I'm not okay. So that's a 100% true story. I sat there. I literally woke up early. Not early. I woke up for work, but the first thing I did was like, trailer. And it was just a shot of cars going down the street, heading towards whatever was going on. And boom, 5 notes from the song on a piano. And I was like, sobbing mess. Now, then the second trailer came out, and that's where the problem started.
Yeah.
But I will say, because I'm not going to beat to death the trailer, FK and I agree it was a terrible trailer. We're just going to call this the Ghostbusters episode, right? Sure.
Yep.
So do you mind? I'm sorry. Am I taking this in a...
No, this is exactly what I wanted, because I didn't know. Let me stop you for a second so I can tell you why.
I'm going to forget.
Yeah, but you're going to forget anyway. So
I'm writing down trailer.
I did not know the following things. 1, that they hyped it the way that you're saying they hyped it before it came out. 2,
and after
Ghost Fest.
There was a mini Comic-Con for just Ghostbusters.
That is so
June. Amazing. That happened. Was it a week or 2 before Comic-Con? FK, I don't know.
It was on June 6th, 7th, 8th. But yeah, it was definitely before Comic-Con.
I have a patch right here that I unapologetically paid for on eBay, which there's patches that came out that were given away in a goodie bag. I believe it was in a goodie bag for coming to the show. It was 2 days where it represented the first movie, the second movie, the third movie, which is the video game that came out in 2009, and Answer the Call. And the patch is so badass. It's got the silhouette of the ladies looking up at Rowan, and it's got the 4th Cataclysm, which is a fucking awesome name for the end of the world. Kiss my ass, you don't like that. And Manhattan, New York, 2016. Great looking patch. Had to get it. But they had all the movies represented. They had different groups of Ghostbusters that build their own. This is how nuts this fandom is. Everybody talks about, and I love Star Wars. Everybody talks about Star Wars Day, and people dressing up like Sith or Jedi, living the role. People are out there living as Ghostbusters. They will go to hospitals and raise money for charity at children's hospitals. They have their own Ecto, and I don't mean this cheaply put together car that falls apart. They will build an Ecto out of different cars with lights. They will dress up. They will spend thousands of dollars to cosplay as Ghostbusters. And you're telling me that you think that movie bombed and that the franchise is dead? Kiss my big Italian hairy ass. Yeah. Number 1. Number 2, all of the movies, everything. I'm telling you, everything was represented. FK mentioned Paul Feig being there. That reaction, rational people would have shut up about hating on that movie because Paul Feig was announced and that place went crazy.
Right. I cried listening to that. That was
he got
really
a standing
awesome
ovation. Jason Reitman thanked him for he basically thanked him like, thank you. Without saying the words revitalize the franchise, he thanked him for revitalizing the franchise.
Yeah, he said, Ghostbusters is for everyone, and you essentially brought people in that did not feel welcome before.
Yeah, you literally. I'm upset that I'm not getting a sequel to answer the call, but that's another conversation for another time. But you literally have another group.
Not necessarily. I just want to put that out there.
That's very true.
It took 5 years for the second movie to get to us. So
I will take that back. You are right, because we had that conversation actually where I was like, no, they're hinting at that there's a chance. So I'm upset that we haven't gotten an announced yet. I'll say that. Even a cartoon sequel. Give it all to me in my veins right now. But the reaction was there. The franchise was revitalized. If you don't, you can like it or not, but that helped. End of story. And back to the trailer. I remembered. Trailers in general, I think I hate taking 2 minutes of a movie and deciding there that I'm not going to go see it. I know that's the idea of trailers, but the fact that you can watch a 2-minute clip of scenes that may or may not be in the movie, nice job, Marvel, thank you, and then go, this sucks, I hate this, it ruined my childhood. You've seen 2 minutes and 30 seconds. What the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly.
That was it, Rev. The show's yours.
No. I was enjoying that. That's the whole point,
We have got to get away from attacking each other over fucking movies, okay? That's my point. It's fucking stupid.
That's why I wanted this one to be episode 1, because it makes no sense. Like, we have me and Wooly have a friend. His name is Aegon, and sometimes we'll sit around and we'll talk about.
His name was Egon?
Aegon.
Oh, damn it.
and sometimes I'm not interested in hearing him talk about them, because it's the same thing. Well, they're going to ruin this or going to ruin that. I'm just like, okay, at least you don't do this shit online. At least you don't go in public view and make statements about, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So the story I have for y'all about this, and you can give me feedback on how you think it went. I told everybody that I didn't give a damn what they thought. I wanted my daughter, Stormy, to see the movie because
which one?
The new one, not the new one, but the one where they had weird nostrils and shit.
Yeah, the Michael Bay produced one. Yeah,
I wanted my children to see the movie, and I didn't give a damn what everybody thinks. And everybody had to put their 2 cents in. Well, it looks this way and it looks that way. I was like, and that's where I came up with it. It's like, dude, they're not making this movie for us.
Yeah,
we can enjoy it, but they're not making it for us.
Nope. I like that movie, by the way.
So I told Aegon, I was like, I'm just glad that you don't do this in public view.
No, because he knows it's stupid.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's go back to The Last Jedi for a second. Kelly Marie Tran. I actually don't know her birth name. I was trying to be respectable, but I can't remember what it is now. It's not that. That is her American name. These people who shit on her for playing a role that she was hired for did not bother to look her up. Does anybody know her background before she was in a random Star Wars movie, as people would put it?
Mm-mm.
She was in Second City.
Was she?
She was in Upside Citizens Brigade.
Oh, wow.
She was working for College Humor. She worked for it. And you think saying racist, stupid shit to her because she played a role in a movie you didn't like is justifiable? No.
Wait. Is that the woman that got like completely and I'll say
violently and sexually doxxed and threatened, and she left social media?
And she left the internet, basically.
Pretty much.
Oh, damn.
Well, that's because she made my penis hurt when I saw that movie.
They did that shit to Leslie Jones too.
They did it to Leslie. Yeah, but you know the thing. You know why they made Leslie Jones makes people mad, because she doesn't sit down and take it.
Oh, for sure. There's one Ghostbusters fan that I was cool with. We talked to each other on Twitter and Instagram, but he when this new 2021 was announced, he got really upset that people in the ATC fandom might be vocal about their distaste for a lack of a sequel and all that. And when I talked to him about it, I said I haven't seen that. Where have you seen that? Because we're all just minding our own business, talking about the movie we love. This other movie's not necessarily for us, so life goes on. And he said, well, okay, the truth is I'm just mad about the things Leslie Jones said. It makes us all sound like basement dwelling Trump lovers. And I said, are you that? And he said, no. I said, then she wasn't talking to you. And he admitted he never thought about it that way.
Yeah, no, exactly. It doesn't always mean you. It's right? Not always about you, mother. Except me. I'm about me. But I don't know.
They think everything is for and about them.
Yeah.
So I guess that the last question: do you think?
No, I want to rant about Ghostbusters for another 20 minutes.
We'll come back to it, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
You may actually have something to talk about here with Ghostbusters. Do you think that in the end, society will actually ever fully make a change to how we react to
the current administration?
Movies?
No.
And the next administration, probably also no.
Well, as long as the world is ruled by straight white men and it's all about money, no, not really. I really don't think say it's not him or it's not the last president or the president before that. But as far as America goes, obviously, yes, it is. It absolutely is. That's how it works. Everybody has it. First of all, here's the first thing. I'm not going to get too political because I'm tired of talking about it. But when the fuck did we turn into a country that they worked for us, but now they're working us? When did that change?
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
I asked. Tell me.
It's always been that way. It's always been that way.
I know that, but where did we stop doing the protest, and why? When did protesting become a problem? Like,
right.
why?
I'm going to use the words of a wise black woman and say, my mother, and say the answer to that question is the minute they gave black people and women rights, they think that means that they still control every aspect of what we're doing.
And here's the thing. You asked FK earlier, being white, does she ever found how did you pose that question?
Does it basically has they been attacked for just being that?
Can I tell you? I haven't.
Well, no.
Nobody asked me. What about me? I'm white. No, I'm kidding.
I didn't ask you because of what you just said.
No, I know. No, I know why. I was being sarcastic.
The only thing they can fuck with you about is your sexuality and your weight.
Yeah. Oh, no. They can't fuck with me about my weight. They think so. I love that, where they're like, you're fat. I'm like, yeah.
Means I ate good.
Yeah.
I ate 2 sandwiches, dumbass. I know I'm fat.
Yeah, I have a loving relationship with McDonald's. Fuck off.
Yeah. No, I don't eat McDonald's.
Okay, Taco Bell. I don't know.
Okay, fine. But it's like,
it's like I explain to people when I get into conversations. I don't have to ask you, Dan or Wooly, that question because
I know I was asking sarcastically because
my question was more as any other form of sexuality, any other form of sex. Like, I don't fit in anywhere because I'm a white-skinned Native American, so that's done. That's completely done. I'm ghetto as hell because I was raised. My adolescence was raised by a very, very, very strong black woman in a family of 13 brothers and sisters. That I was the only.
So much about you.
I was the only one that was not black. So I was raised for the first 2 years. I got my ass kicked because I had white skin.
I remember my point.
Go ahead. That's why I was just talking.
I know. I got it. Okay. So the reason why I asked that, because I was circling around to this, is like you asked FK earlier if there was ever somebody holding her back because of color or sexuality. And I was like, well, I never had because I'm a white male. And it didn't occur to me until I met the woman I'm with right now. She is a 42, I think, year old. I forget how old she is. She's 12. Listen, I guess she was 7 years. I met her at a Phil Collins concert. I guess she was 7 years younger than she was. She was like, "Oh, really?" So that's how I won. But she has been independent for years. She was raised by two Brooklyn parents, straight out of Brooklyn. Her father worked since he was 8 years old, providing for. The man was all state basketball. And he didn't go to college for basketball because he had to work, take care of his mom and his grandmother and his sister. The other woman, her other parent, her mom, dumbass Dan, was a daughter of a real hard-nosed, real strict. God, he was in the service. He was a Marine. He went to World War II. He went in and fought in Korea. He look up the Chosen Reservoir battle and then tell me you've had a bad day. And then Vietnam happened and he went back because he told his kids, these kids are being sent in. They don't know what they're doing. I have to go help them. So she came from a hard, she was a Navy nurse. So she came from a hard ass family. So you had two Brooklyn kids who were raised real hard and fought for every fucking inch they've ever had. They raised Kelly. That's her name. That's why when I'm trying to say Kelly, I'm like, no, I meant the other Kelly. She does not fuck around. She's worked for everything she's ever had. She's had the same position in a good way for two different companies for the last 20 years. And it didn't occur to me until she told me, hey, I got a bonus and I got a raise. And I asked her as the other person in the relationship, oh, how much? She told me the number. And then for some reason she threw out, which is still blah, blah, blah % less than a man in my position. I was like, what? It's like, yeah, and I've been here 8 years longer.
Shit.
I was like, fuck, I never thought of that. It never fucking occurred to me, being the Italian white male that I was, who really hasn't had, as far as getting ahead in life, there's all kinds of other issues in my head that we'll talk about at a completely different time, probably never really. That has held me back. And again, long story. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for being the way you are, mental. But as a white male, no, nobody's ever said, well, you can't have it because you're a white male. Get the fuck out of here. Then I talked to her about it, and it's been like this for years. And then you start hearing about the women's U.S. soccer team and that ongoing battle, which that baffles me. And you hear about all these things. You don't think about it until you get another perspective. You grow up, you evolve, you start talking about things. You find out, well, man, it's not always about you. It is about the other people, and some other people are getting fucked over just because they have boobs. And it does depress me. It's disgusting that it's 2019 and she's never complained about it, but it does bother her. And that kind of blows me away that that's a thing she has to worry about. And it does upset me. It pisses me off. And,
it's such an archaic way of thinking, too, for businesses, because, the reason why they did that initially is because they figure, a woman is going to be married to a man and he's got an income, so they don't need as much. But
that ain't the way it works.
Yeah, not at all.
I just, until we're no longer only thinking white, straight, and money, that's when shit'll change in the view of something as simple as entertainment. And
Absolutely.
That's why I was having the conversation with you earlier 2 days ago, FK, and you guys publicly, you saw it manifest, where I'm like, I'm done. I think I'm done with Twitter because I can't enjoy anything anymore. And I don't have I'm addicted to it. I don't have the control to just go, all right, I'm done. I can't look at it. I have an addictive personality. Hello, I'm fat. I mentioned that. Hello, I can't take pills because I have a problem. You get what I'm saying? I'm not going to elaborate on that. I have an addictive personality, and I can't stay off the goddamn thing. And I'm just thinking about deleting it, wiping the cache, and starting over because it just ruins everything. I can't enjoy Ghostbusters because I might like the new one, and you're not a real fan. Meanwhile, I have the original poster of Ghostbusters 2 that hung in a fucking theater in my living room. I have 7 different versions of the fucking car on my shelves. I have the figures of the ladies, the figures of the guys times 2. I have the box set of the cartoon, the movies in 7 different formats. I'm not a real fan because I liked the ladies. Fuck
yeah. That's such a bullshit point of view too. Is to say, you're not a real fan if you like 2016 Ghostbusters. But it's like when I was a kid, I was a huge Ghostbusters fan, but I had to pretend to be one of the guys because there wasn't anything else. And people I actually got in an argument with one guy. He was insistent that the 2016 Ghostbusters did not need to exist specifically because women have Pitch Perfect.
What?
And that's all they need. And then I said, I completely dismissed that because that is a bonkers point of view.
Say that one more time.
He said that the 2016 Ghostbusters did not need to exist because women have movies like Pitch Perfect, and that did well enough that should be sufficient.
That silence is us.
I think that silence is my brain short-circuiting.
It gets worse. He said that if people want female characters in the Ghostbusters realm to look up to, they should be happy with Janine and Dana. And I said, a secretary and a single mom. And he was like, oh, single moms aren't badass. I said, she would be if she was the hero of her own story.
I'm sorry, I was just drinking my tea out of my Ghostbusters 2016 theater cup, and I'm not even kidding. I'm not even joking.
I'm really confused.
That logic, did he come up with that logic and think that was sound?
Yeah, and I hear this a lot. There are a lot of people I've talked to on Twitter who think that exact way, that it wasn't, you should just be happy with the 3 female characters that existed 30 years ago, and that's it.
I'm laughing at that notion.
Yeah. It's there are thousands of movies that come out every year. Most of them are catered toward white men. And then when one of those is taken away to make room for, representation for someone else, they take that as a personal affront.
What about me?
Yeah.
Okay, what about the last 100 years, asshole?
Right, exactly. And if you, there was a discussion on one of the Twitter posts when they announced the 2020 movie, and a lot of women were talking about how these were great characters for my kids to look up to, and there aren't a lot of movies where women are heroes, and also it's something that kids can watch, and everybody's chiming in with like Mad Max and all these things. It's like, are you not listening? They're like, oh, well, you should let your kids broaden their horizons by letting them watch these great movies. And it's like you still only listed 5 things. You have everyone to choose from, and you're saying that everyone else should be satisfied with 5 movies.
Well, here's the thing that I have a problem with, and I've always had a problem with it. Fan gating. Dan can attest, and Wooly can attest, Kelly, that this year I decided that because my favorite baseball team of the last 20 fucking years, their owner doesn't give a shit, doesn't care what we think, doesn't do any of that shit. I was going to support a second team. I'm going to still support my Rays, but I needed a team that I needed new blood in my heart. So one of my best friends and my brother Ryan, hey, let's do the Nats. So when I first put on Twitter that I was going to be a Nats fan to see anything else new, I had like 75 people follow me immediately on the account that and they're just like, yeah, this, that, and the other. And then 3 weeks later, so 2 weeks into the season, I noticed that my follower count was going down, and it was because I was telling people to stop fan gating. I was telling people to stop this crap, that people should be fired 2 weeks into a 162 game season because of bad play or because of bad coaching or because of whatever. I was just now. At one point in time, I was up 110 people of nothing but national fans. Does anybody want to guess how many national fans follow me now still to this day?
3.
4.
6. 6. And I think I would probably have 10, but I've been very political here lately on Twitter. So people don't like that when you call out a race for being, well,
By
shit.
the way, if people are saying that having a human equal rights is political, you're the fucking problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's not political. That's just life.
That's,
go fuck yourself.
That's reality.
Yeah.
That's reality. So I have a problem with fan gating. Like I was getting made fun of for 4 years because I've never watched a Star Wars movie. Because I was 38 years old, never watched a Star Wars movie. So 2 years ago, I decided, okay, let's watch them. But we watched them in order, not how they were released.
Yeah.
The order of
how 1 through whatever.
Yeah, 1 through 9.
And my friend David, shout out to Roll Society. He asked me why I did not ever spend time to watch this, and I explained it's because the Jedi thing doesn't make any sense to me in any way. Because I'm logical. I don't do a whole lot of sci-fi. The only one I really ever got into was Deep Space Nine.
No, you made the right choice.
Sci-fi. So when we watched the first one, I told him, I was like, okay, we can watch the rest of them now. And he goes, why? I was like, because, they explain why Jedis are Jedis. They explain why they have the Force.
See, all the hardcore fans fucking hated that.
Mm.
The midichlorian thing, they fucking hated it.
Why should I continue to watch something if it's just a thing? Oh,
right.
It's just a thing.
Yes, I know, I get it. But I love that you said that. And that's basically the whole point of our conversation today.
Literally.
You watched that first movie and you saw, oh, that's why Jedi are a thing. And it never occurred to me that it was a problem until I heard my friends going, that's fucking stupid. It's a goddamn germ. That's stupid. I'm like,
well, explain something to me. And because I've now watched the first 6, I think.
All right.
The original 3 and the second 3.
What's your favorite so far?
1.
Wow.
1.
Well, now I'm going to tweet about what a piece of shit you are.
That's fine. Well, before you do that, understand why I think 1 is the best.
No, I don't care.
No, but it does. But it'll make sense, and it'll bring back why this conversation was so important for me to have with you guys.
Sure.
When I watched 4, 5, and 6, I put my mind back when they were released, because the only one that was released before I was born was 4. Was the very, very first one ever. Yeah. All the rest of them was released after I was born, and I got to watch. I could have watched them then, but my cousin was huge into it, and he told me all of these things. And then when I watched 4, 5, and 6 2 years ago, I was like, logically, 4, 5, and 6 makes sense, except for the Jedi part, because they do everything logically. Every aspect of 4, 5, and 6 has logic behind what they're doing, except being a Jedi.
And then number 1 tied it in for you. Like,
and then number 1. So my favorites are 1, 5, 2, 4, 6, 3.
That's amazing.
And the only reason I put 3 as the last one is because I don't agree with making Darth Vader an emo bitch.
Oh, I agree with you too. Yeah, no, that's stupid. No, and that's why different opinions are okay.
Yeah.
That right there. I was afraid. I like the first. I can't stand the kid actor. Right?
Who played Anakin?
I can't stand Jake Lloyd. I think it was a bad casting. What was that?
Did I get the names wrong?
About what?
Anakin, the kid who played Anakin.
Yeah, no, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah. He does not deliver lines well. He's also a kid, but it just sounds bad. Other than that, there is not many more better action scenes in the goddamn pod race. It just isn't. Period.
I've probably seen 300 movies in my life, and it's top 10 easy for me for action scenes.
I'll tell you what, on the surround sound system, whoo.
Yeah. Anything involving Darth Maul.
But I see all these years later, and this is another thing I was about to say. I'm going to get vulgar here for a second. FK, forgive me. these guys that were telling me that I'm not a good Ghostbusters fan, son, I owned most of the Ghostbusters stuff for the best part of you ran down the crack of your mother's butt. Okay? Don't tell me. Sorry, I apologize. I had to get that out because I hope some of them listen. That I was around I would never fangate, but I was around here longer than you, son. I'm an old man. Back off. Number one. Number two, the Star Wars thing. Again, I don't ever fangate, but I was a member of the Star Wars fan club when it was a write-in only. You couldn't buy the magazine on the stores. You had to send a letter, and then they had to accept your letter. So my dad wrote a letter, and we get him in I got a license plate. It was when you got a bumper sticker that said that you were in the Star Wars fan club because it was a exclusive thing, right? And all these people telling me that I can't be a Star Wars fan because I like The Last Jedi at all is laughable. I'm like, oh, that's cute, son. Well, I'll get around to opening my old folder of all the stuff I kept when I was, 6 years old in the fan club before you were born and tell you that you're wrong. I hate that. And again, back to Ghostbusters. That's great. If you didn't like Answer the Call, you have that right as a human being. But this was going to tie into my last point, and then I'm going to let you guys chat. There's this weird group of people on many sides that say, well, this stuff doesn't happen. You're just making it up.
Fake news.
I'm living it. Fake news. I'm living it since 2016 with Ghostbusters. This shit happens. Nobody just liked the movie, didn't like the movie because the girls were in it. No, dude. I watched it happen live. I had a bloke come at me specifically for over a year until he finally got banned because he was apparently doing this to several people about that new movie over and over again. It does happen. So if you're out there and saying, man, they're talking about it an awful lot, it's because it's been 4 years of bullshit. And it's been, when did Last Jedi come out at this point? 17? Sure, it's been 3 years of that bullshit. So
I don't understand. I guess I'll never fully understand.
When I do it in jest. The other day, I started watching the movie First Man, and I turned it off after 10 minutes because every single shot of that movie, they're doing the Michael Bay shaky cam. There's a shot of a kid, Neil Armstrong, sitting in his living room with his little baby girl, just sitting on the floor talking to her, and the camera was moving as if Megatron was going to punch Optimus Prime in the fucking face. And I said, I can't watch this movie. So I jokingly posted, listen, if you're going to hold the camera like Michael Bay, I can't watch your movie. I will do it tongue-in-cheek. But ever go actively after anybody for making a fucking movie, you're out of your mind. Get a real job.
No, just stop talking.
Just stop. What's that meme that goes around? Just let people enjoy things.
Yes.
Right. But there's that mentality of, okay, so let's say a major movie flops like one of the Incredible Hulk movies. Okay, well, Hollywood looks at it and says, well, that one wasn't right. Let's try it again. And then sooner or later you got, 12, 15 versions of the same movie. And now a female-led movie underperforms, not fails, but underperforms, and people are literally wishing death upon everyone who worked on that movie. And I don't get that mentality. It's like men can make mistakes and fail up, but women become pariahs if they don't knock it out of the park on the first try.
I'm real nervous about Wonder Woman.
I want it to be so good.
It's good. It's probably fine, but I've seen, again, things I wasn't aware of until talking to Kelly about it, for the last 10 years, that this is actually a thing. And it's not that I was ignorant. I was ignorant to it. It wasn't that I was actively fuck women, but it was until you talk about it, you're like, God damn, I didn't realize that was a thing. And then you're like, yeah, it is actually a thing. It's not fake news, guys.
Yeah.
This is a mixture of talking about it with Rev and a lot of pent up frustration coming out. I watched that movie and Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I went to see 3 times. I the first time Luke spoiler alert, the first time I watched Luke project himself to Kylo Ren, and then he air quote dies. I cried. I was like, holy shit, that was fucking amazing. And I went back 3 times just to see that sequence where he is just bombarding him with lasers, and the lasers finally stop, and you see Luke just standing there, and he brushes dust off his shoulder. That is a moment I've been waiting for 30 fucking years. And you and nobody else on the fucking internet is going to tell me, because I also liked Rose, that I'm not allowed to enjoy it. I can tell you what you can do with it, but I won't. I used one vulgar line. I have one vulgar line of podcasting.
So we'll leave with this, guys. I want to thank you both for being on the episode. I appreciate it a lot. It set tone, I think.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I've like I said, it's been a hot minute since I've done anything like this. So this was totally new, and I loved every second of it.
I think I would like to discuss with FK maybe not a regular, but maybe a Ghostbusters podcast coming out.
Oh gosh, I do.
We just did it right here.
I mean, yeah. That's fair and valid.
I'm literally going to title this whenever I upload this to YouTube, the Ghostbusters episode. Thanks, Dan.
Well, you killed it in development.
I think honestly that there's another episode that I want you two to be involved in, so it doesn't matter. I'll get back to y'all.
Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Listen, knows, I talk about this every day. We talk about this every day. There's a group of us that talk about it every day. I am happy to talk about it every day.
Here, listen, and to add on to what FK said, all I ever wanted was people to laugh. If you are following me on Twitter and you don't get that, most of what I say is just as a joke. That's why I say things outlandish sometimes. I'm just trying to make you laugh. And every time I do a podcast, or I'm doing my own show, I'm like, I don't think I'm funny. I'm going to record Wooly and Rev laughing and FK laughing in the background and play it for me privately when I get down about myself, because I'm fucking funny.
Yeah, it's good energy, dude.
Thank you. It's all I ever wanted, just for people to laugh. That is my end goal. I don't even care if I get paid for it. I'll take a sandwich, which is probably half the problem.
I'm with you there.
Okay. Rev, take over before I get
another thing. So one more thing, dude. Anything else you want to talk about with the GoFundMe?
Oh,
Kelly?
I retweet it every day. So if you don't see it in my feed, just you can do a search for my handle, and the name Izzy, IZZY. And thank you guys for your consideration. I really appreciate it.
And your Twitter handle?
It is @FunKelly. That's FUNKELLY.
And Dan.
Oh, you don't want to follow me.
Come on, me.
All right. Well, I have a podcast network at HISC Talk Radio. We do pro wrestling. We also do 2 hockey podcasts. We do pop culture podcasts, and we do a sports venue podcast. I'm always looking. Rev and Rev has been trying to, truth be told, get me on a podcast for a lot, and I simply don't have a lot of time. But I'm always looking to add something else from somebody else on the network. So anytime anybody wants to chat, if I have the time, hit me up. I'll let you be the host. I'll be the host. HIC Talk Radio. Or follow me, and you've heard how everybody laugh. Follow me at the Above Average Comedian, a nickname I did not give to myself, at DanLaw83.
And Wooly?
Yeah, you can follow me at TheLilWooly. That's TheLilWooly. Just look for the mammoth head. That's probably how you can see it. Yeah, I don't know, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter.
On all the social media platforms at Lil Wooly.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so.
And me, y'all know me. That's why you're listening in.
The ghost of Rev.
I am definitely one of those social justice warriors that your mama warned you about, except for I don't like either side. So just kind of the way it is.
And bitch, she will follow through.
Facts.
Yeah.
Next week's episode will be about D&D and its social reach and what it does. So I hope y'all get in touch and tweet at us anytime you want. And that's it.
All right, perfect. By the way,
Imagine that.
By the way, speaking of the episode, who wants to take a guess at how long this recording is?
1
2 hours
hour,
and 48 minutes.
1 hour 50. No, 1 hour 44 minutes.
Rev is,
Yeah, something around there.
Rev is pretty much right on the dot.
You know what? Ironically, that's around the same runtime as the original Ghostbusters. Tying it all in.
Can I please include that part?
Terrific.
Yes.
Add that
Yes.
part. Add
That
that.
has to be added as a going to black moment.
Ba, 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 da, ba. Don't forget to try the veal. It'll be here all week.